Chapter 1. The Forgotten Drawer. Emma was cleaning her old room in her parents' house when she stumbled upon a drawer she hadn't opened in years. Inside, she found a box of memories, childhood photos, trinkets, and a dusty, sealed letter. She immediately recognized the handwriting. It was from Liam, her best friend growing up. Her hands trembled as she held the envelope, realizing it had been 10 years since they last spoke. Questions raced through her mind. Why hadn't she seen this before, and why had they grown apart? She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the letter. Memories of summer days playing in the park in secret. Talks under the stars came rushing back. Emma couldn't help but smile, though the thought of their separation brought a sting to her heart. She slowly peeled open the envelope, her heart pounding. Inside was a letter dated the day before Liam left town. She had no idea he had written to her. The letter began with an apology. Liam wrote about how much their friendship meant to him, and how sorry he was that life was pulling them in different directions. Emma felt tears well up as she read his words. How had she missed this? And why didn't he reach out again? Emma's mother called her downstairs, breaking her thoughts. She tucked the letter into her pocket, unsure of what to do next. She couldn't ignore it now, but where would she even start? That night, Emma sat in her room, the letter clutched in her hands. She couldn't sleep. Memories of their friendship swirled in her mind, along with guilt for letting their bond fade. She decided she would find Liam, no matter how hard it might be. Chapter 2. A Search Begins. Emma's first step was to search online. She typed Liam's name into every platform she could think of, but her results were disappointing. There were a few profiles with his name, but none of them were him. Still, she refused to give up. She visited their old school the next day, hoping someone there might remember Liam. The school had changed, but the memories remained vivid. Emma wandered the hallways, thinking about the times they had spent together. That gave her a lead. Emma contacted a few old friends, asking if they had stayed in touch with Liam. Most of them hadn't heard from him in years. One friend mentioned seeing his family at a local event a few years ago, but didn't have any contact information. Her next idea was to visit Liam's old house. Standing outside the familiar home, Emma felt a pang of sadness. The windows were dark and the yard was overgrown. It was clear that no one lived there anymore. She asked a neighbor about the family, and they told her they had moved far away, but they didn't know exactly where. As the days passed, Emma felt like she was chasing a ghost. Yet each small memory she uncovered reminded her of why this search mattered. She wasn't just looking for an old friend. She was trying to find a piece of herself she had lost. Chapter 3. An Unexpected Connection. One evening, Emma's phone buzzed with a notification. It was a response to an old message she had sent to a mutual friend. The friend had recently come across a photo Liam had posted online, showing him working at a cafe in another city. Emma couldn't believe her luck. She finally had a clue. The cafe was in a small town 3 hours away. Emma hesitated. Would Liam even want to see her after all these years? She reread the letter he had written, focusing on the parts where he expressed how much he valued their friendship. She decided it was worth the risk. The next morning, Emma set off on her journey. The drive was filled with nervous anticipation. She thought about what she would say to him. Would he remember her? Would he be happy to see her? She tried to prepare for every possible reaction, but her emotions were a whirlwind. When she arrived at the cafe, Emma stood outside for a moment, gathering her courage. She peeked through the window and saw a man behind the counter. It had been so long, but she was certain it was Liam. Her heart raced as she walked through the door. The cafe was quiet and Liam was busy serving a customer. Emma approached slowly, her voice barely above a whisper as she said, "Liam?" He turned, his expression a mixture of surprise and disbelief. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then a smile broke across his face. Chapter 4. A Reunion of Memories. Liam stared at Emma for a moment, then smiled warmly. "Emma, I can't believe it's you," he said, his voice carrying a mix of disbelief and joy. Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her. The years seemed to melt away as they stood there, two old friends reconnecting. They sat at a corner table, and Emma shared how she had found the letter and how it had led her here. Liam looked surprised, then sad. I didn't think you'd ever see that letter, he admitted. I wrote it before I left, but I never had the courage to hand it to you. I left it with your family hoping you'd read it one day. Emma told him about the drawer she had found it in and how reading his words had brought back so many memories. They reminisced about their childhood, laughing at the funny moments and growing quiet as they recalled the bittersweet ones. Emma noticed the way Liam's eyes lit up when he talked about their past, and she realized how much she had missed his presence in her life. Liam explained why he had drifted away. His family had moved for financial reasons, and the transition had been overwhelming. I didn't know how to keep in touch, he said. It felt easier to let go even though it hurt. Emma understood, but she couldn't help but wonder how different things might have been if they had tried harder to stay connected. As the cafe began to fill with customers, Liam apologized for having to get back to work. But don't go yet, he said. Stay for dinner. I'd love to catch up properly. Emma agreed, feeling a renewed sense of hope for their friendship. Chapter 5. The Truth Unveiled. That evening, Emma and Liam met at a small park near his apartment. They brought takeout and sat on a bench overlooking a quiet pond. Liam opened up about the challenges he had faced over the years. He had struggled to find stability, working odd jobs and moving frequently. Despite it all, he had never forgotten their friendship. Emma shared her own struggles, from navigating her career to dealing with feelings of loneliness. You were always the one person I could talk to about anything, she said. It felt like losing a part of myself when you were gone. Liam nodded, his expression serious. I felt the same way, but I didn't know how to fix it. I thought you might have moved on, made new friends, and forgotten about me. Emma shook her head. I never forgot, she said softly. They talked late into the night, uncovering the emotions and misunderstandings that had kept them apart. Emma showed him the letter again, and they both laughed at the awkward way. Liam had tried to express his feelings back then. I was such a mess, he joked, but Emma shook her head. It was honest, she said, and it meant more than you know. By the time they parted ways, it was clear that their bond was still intact. The years of separation hadn't erased what they had shared. They had simply paused it. And now they were ready to start anew. Chapter 6, A Letter for the Future. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Liam spent more time together, rebuilding their friendship piece by piece. They visited their old haunts, swapping stories and making new memories. It felt as though no time had passed. And yet they were both more mature, more appreciative of the connection they had. One day, Liam surprised Emma with a letter. It's only fair, he said with a grin. Emma laughed as she opened it, finding a heartfelt message inside. In the letter, Liam thanked her for not giving up on him and for reminding him of the importance of their friendship. He also apologized for the years they had lost and promised to never let distance come between them again. Emma felt tears prick her eyes as she read his words. This time, she said, we'll make it last. She handed Liam a small notebook. Let's write letters to each other, even if we're in the same city, she suggested. That way we'll always have something to look back on. Liam agreed, smiling at the idea. As they sat together, writing the first entries in their notebook, Emma realized how much she had learned from this journey. Life might separate people, but the bonds that matter can always be mended with effort and understanding. The story of Emma and Liam wasn't just about finding a lost friend. It was about rediscovering the value of connection, forgiveness, and hope. As they laughed and shared stories, Emma knew that this was the start of a new chapter in their lives, one they would write together. Their story, once paused, was now continuing. One letter, one moment, one memory at a time. The end.